let's piggyback on that and go right into our Pac-12 prime picks. I guess my Pac-12 prime picks of the week. I'm hoping to keep things rolling here, Carter. 3 picks every week, 3 straight winning weeks after the disastrous 0-3 beginning, but a 3-0 after that, couple of 2-1 showings, and Oregon very nearly had the backdoor cover. They were 2 seconds away from a backdoor cover there, but nevertheless, it's another winning week. And my favorite pick of the week, I think I was going to pick this up until it was around, even if it got to like 7 or 8. I think anything under 10, I would have taken Washington State, just like we were talking about. I think Jake Dickert, early in his tenure, is going to be testing his guys all week in practice and say, we gave that game away, but we showed that we are good enough to play with that team over there that has been to several Pac-12 championships in the last few years. We're good enough to do that. Let's go out and show it this week. I'm only giving up 4, taking the Cougars here at home in Pullman. So back-to-back games that they get to play in front of their home fans. I think the Golden Bears offense is going to be in for a rude awakening after popping last week, led by a stud running back, the freshman Jaden Ott, who went for 274 yards. That was against Arizona. And this Washington State defense is much, much different. They make plays, they cause havoc, and I think this is going to be a game that Washington State wins something like 27-10.
Yeah, I think we can look at what California did last week and be impressed, but you do have to remember that Arizona, while it is a lot better than it was last year, and I think it's, even last year was better than its 1-11 record.
Agree.
Its defense is still very suspect, and really, I mean, that whole team has so much to build before it's at the caliber that we can expect it to take care of business against California. California is still the better team there, so. It's not going to be easy for Washington State is what I'm saying. Cal is still a solid team, but with the way Washington State has opened the year and with the fact that they probably should have beat Oregon, if not for a final 5-minute collapse or whatever it was there in that game, I think we'd be talking about the Cougs as a double-digit favorite here if they had pulled that thing off.
Yeah, I like a -4, and Cam Ward had his best game as an FBS quarterback. That transition that coming into the year I thought might take a little bit of time. It did, and they didn't need him to carry him on the road in that big upset win against Wisconsin. But still, we were asking the question like, well, is Cam Ward going to look, a little more comfortable, a little more fluid within the offense? And then he was up until the game sealing interception there on a screen pass that is, only got one option, and he just didn't see the defensive end dropping. I'm not going to penalize him in a massive way for that. The other interception, the defensive back wrestled away from the wide receiver. Not concerned there either. He made a lot of really good throws and great plays with his legs in that game to extend it. And I think Cal will have a tough time tackling him because everybody will. So Washington State -4. That's my first pick. Then it gets interesting. Let's go to the other one where I like a favorite, and then I'll finally close it with an underdog. USC at home against Arizona State. It's a big line, Carter. It's a big line, but I'm taking the Trojans here -25. I think this could be 48-17. I mean, Arizona State might not even score that much. They're probably going to turn the ball over against the Trojans defense. I think the Trojans could absolutely, at home, I wouldn't take this number on the road, but at home, I think they can blow the doors off ASU that's fledgling.
Last week, I said I wouldn't touch the Sun Devils line with a 25,000-foot pole just because it's week 1 under an interim coach, and you have no idea what you're going to get. I mean, that team could go and upset Utah, or it could go lose by 50, and ultimately it did kind of get the doors blown off of it. So we're past that. Now we're into the part of the season under an interim coach where I'm comfortable fading Arizona State, regardless of what the number is, regardless of the team they're playing, because this program is, if it's not in shambles now, it could be in shambles within the next couple of weeks. So I like USC to cover this thing, and it could get out of hand very early, and I don't think the Sun Devils are going to put up a fight at all.
Plus, USC, after their offensive struggles in Corvallis last week, going to be extra motivated to put up another big number, catch everybody's attention, and score a bunch of points. And think about it like this. ASU lost at home to Utah last week, 34-13. So that's a 21-point margin in Tempe. Can USC be 5 points better than Utah at home? I think the answer there is yes against this Arizona State team. And then lastly, I will preface this by saying, for anyone who's trying to ride the hot streak potentially and get in on the action here, and you should check out Bet Online for all of these lines and anything else that you need. Our sponsor here at the Locked On Podcast Network. This is not necessarily a football bet because Colorado has done nothing to inspire through 4 games, as we've talked about. But Carter, they have been a 2-touchdown or greater underdog in 4 straight weeks to begin the season. And they are 0-4 in their record. They're 0-4 against the spread. They're 17.5-point underdogs in Tucson against Arizona, who's got a superior offense, but whose defense, which struggled against a mediocre Cal offense a week ago mightily, can still be suspect at times. I cannot see, if Colorado can't cover 17.5 against that Arizona team, which is much improved, but still a year away from being really good, then we have to talk about them as one of the worst Pac-12 teams in the history of the conference, quite literally. And so I'm just taking it from a numbers perspective here. 17.5, again over 2 touchdowns. I've got the half-point hook, or else I might have taken Stanford plus 17.5, but I don't have it there. I've got it here, and I'm putting the buffs in the Pac-12 prime picks again.
I like it. It's a precedent play rather than a, this team's probably not 17.5 points worse than Arizona type play. And I think it's apt because, like you said, if Colorado really is 2 touchdowns and a field goal worse than Arizona, this is
that's still a cover. That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal. That's still a cover. You go out there, give me 34-17. That's a cover.
Yeah. But if that is the case, I think we're talking about Colorado as potentially the worst team in college football at that point. Because, if it can't cover a spread that large against an Arizona team that, reminder, won 1 game last year and still has so much work to do. We were talking about Arizona last year as being one of the worst teams in college football. And if Colorado is really that much worse than that team a year later, the Buffs are probably not winning a game this year.
And nobody wants to see that.
No.
Teams have down years, but no one deserves to be 0-12 at the Power 5 level. Carter Baines, senior editor and writer at beaverblitz.com. Nobody wants to go through a week where you don't come on the show, my friend. I certainly don't want to live in that sort of world, so I appreciate you taking the time as always.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everyone listening. Enjoy the football this weekend. I will see you next time. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.